This Food City 500 DFS and Underdog Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Kutt. Kutt is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 states. Head to Kutt.com, that's Kutt.com, and use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em for a chance to win 100x in NBA, NHL, college basketball, NASCAR, and more. Sign up today using promo code RACESGPN to get a 100% deposit match. We're also brought to you by Champs. Run your own March Madness pool and enter Champs free bracket contest for a chance to win $1,000. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/champs to enter today. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month and start making smarter bets today.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Happy Friday. Welcome to the weekend. If you're listening on Saturday or maybe Sunday morning, I hope you've enjoyed your last couple of days of the weekend. But I know Cody and we are sending it off to you on a Friday afternoon with the Cup DFS episode and, of course, our Underdog Picks as well. So much fun. It's Bristol, baby, short track racing. A lot of tempers, a lot of heat, a lot of beating, a lot of banging, just like you heard right there. Again, a lot of fun to be had, Cody. Cannot wait for this.
Oops, bumped the keyboard. Sorry. First of all, happy birthday, Rod. It is your birthday today. So, yeah, happy birthday to you. I hope you're having a great day. I'm glad I get to see you on your special day. So thanks for hanging out with me. Excited to talk DFS and Underdog. If you missed it and you're interested in truck, DFS and Underdog Picks, a full episode yesterday dedicated to that. Let's go back and check it out because that was a lot of fun to do. And first time we've kind of had, standalone for just the truck series, and wasn't fun to talk about, but excited to break it down for the Cup Series this week. DFS is going to be, you're going to have to hit it this week, Rod. There is no missing on this and getting lucky. You've got 500 laps of laps led, 500 fast laps. It's going to be very important this week.
Yeah, and we have seen that there is one driver that can go out and lead 100 and more, or even sometimes in some cases 175 laps or more on this configuration. Remember, this spring race, no dirt. This is back on the concrete. This is the way God intended it to be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern, 3:30 Eastern, which means not a night race either. So we're in a completely different environment than some of these guys have been used to. I mean, think of guys like Ty Gibbs, Hocevar, Gragson, Barry. All these guys have not done a spring race in this next-gen car, first of all, that wasn't on the dirt. So a lot of new faces, but again, a lot of old, familiar guys that have been around this track for several years, whether it's night, whether it's day, whether it's dirt, whether it's underwater, whatever the configuration, they've been on it. So we're going to take that into consideration as we start making our DraftKings picks. And, again, this is going to be a tough test. The sixth different configuration. Fifth? How many races have we had so far, Cody? Fifth.
That's a great question. I don't know.
Well, listen, we have not been to the same configuration twice. Therefore, this is yet another configuration. Steven already checking into the chat saying rubbing is racing. Yeah, right now, this track for real.
Yeah, and probably going to be plenty of that. This is a track that's known for a lot of rubbing and some really good racing. So excited for it. And yeah, again, to the point of the 500 laps in this race, you're gonna have to nail it. You're going to have one guy that leads a lot of laps, might be split between 2 guys, potentially 3 guys. You've got to at least hit one of the guys that lead 100+ laps in this race if you want your DFS to have a chance.
Indeed. All right, JDK real quick saying, what's up, fellas? What's up, JDK? Happy to see you. Love the Discord contributions from all of our buddies, including the JDK as well.
Yes.
And, combating all of our 17 minutes of ads. Want me to add to that?
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. We're 6 minutes into this, Rod. How weird. I heard there was 17 minutes of ads.
Wow.
I almost offered that guy a job. I thought about offering him a job. He apparently likes working for free, doesn't want to get paid for his time and contributions. So it would be great to have him around. I'm sure he's not good at anything, but whatever.
Well, we're going to step away to pay our bills so that we can continue to give you free picks the way we do every single week.
I mean, 70-1 a couple weeks ago, Rod. Was it worth a couple of minutes of ads?
It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. And for those of you that it is for,
I used to Nebraska's slogan. Nebraska, it's not for everybody.
Not for everybody. All right. Well, then we will be right back. But first, let me tell you about our merch madness. We got 15% off of everything right now in our merch store. Please go check that out right there. There you go. Ask me about my third leg. Oof, Cody's already sporting that one for us, that shirt that's beautiful there. But you can also get some Racing Gambling Podcast stuff and merchandise, cups. You can get water bottles and hoodies and tote bags and all kinds of crazy stuff. So you can get 15% off of everything right now in that merch store with the promo code MADNESS. So make sure you head over there and take care of that. Kutt is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 states. Peer-to-peer social betting is brand new, and it's a better way to bet. You can bet directly against your friends or other users on sports, politics, pop culture, and other events, so long as it's got a verifiable outcome. It's tons of fun, and it's got social features that give it the feel of a betting social network. Plus, Kutt offers the lowest vig, and you can fully customize those odds, which means you can create your own bets. Not to mention, Kutt handles the payment side of everything, so you never have to chase down anyone for money ever again. You got social features like group chats, betting leaderboards, head-to-head history, user profiles, fan groups, and more, including rewards. Get cash back every single time you bet against your friends or other users. Cody's got some stuff up there. There's a Ty Majeski bet. There's a Zane Smith bet. Go take him up on that. I'm going to take him up on that because I want his money, and you should too. So download Kutt today in the App Store or over at kutt.com. That's KUTT.com. Use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're about to load you up with some underdog fantasy picks for the Cup race, so make sure you head down there and tail this as well. So much going on with underdogs, and if you want to play along, you can. Just pick better than or worse than the finishing positions that are listed for your driver, and then watch the multipliers stack up, watch your potential earnings stack up, and you can even win up to 100 times your entry if you check out those chili peppers on other sports. Pick higher than or lower than their projected stat totals. Just have some fun. It's a simple way to get in on the action and to have a bunch of fun. Sign up today with the promo code RACESGPN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as an instant pick'em special. So go visit UnderdogFantasy.com, find them in the App Store, and don't forget to register with our promo code RACESGPN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as that instant pick'em special. Must be 18 or older and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
All right, Rod, let's recap. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I do find it hilarious. So he was upset about the ads. Let's recap. Let's go through the 3 ads you just read. A free March Madness contest where you can win money. God, what a horrible thing. Why would we ever promote something like that? Kutt bet. You can literally get a 10% deposit bonus, so you're already getting more money back. You can come take personal bets against us. I've got 3 of them out there right now with Zane Smith in the Truck Series, Ty Majeski in the Truck Series, Kyle Busch in the Cup Series. Come bet against me and Underdog. 100% deposit bonus up to $100. You put $100 in there, Rod. Magically, you have $200. What a horrible thing. Underdog, it's a horrible, awful game to play. It's no fun at all. Like, it's not like, come on, man. Just
I know. I'm sorry I'm wasting everybody's time with free money.
It's so funny. And like, for what these guys say, like, less commercials than during a NASCAR race. Like, yeah, have you ever turned a TV on and watched a NASCAR racing? Hey, yeah, there's a lot of commercials, but you know what? That means a lot of people want to advertise. It means NASCAR's doing a good job. It means they're making money. It means they're going to keep going on. And that's part of it. We're giving you free picks. I have a wife and a child, and they're not going to let me be here 5 times a week to do this show if I'm not getting a little bit of something for it. So, that's how it works. It's free content for you. By the way, there's timestamps in the YouTube after the fact if you're not listening live. So that can help you navigate if that's the case. And I appreciate Derek, Undead Gaming, just here to give me a hard time. Shout out to you. That's what Kutt Bet's for, because we get over there and we settle our disagreements on Kutt Bet.
Indeed. All right, but we are here today to talk about the Cup and the DraftKings and the DFS portion of this. So, Cody, I think it's time to get into it. As we always do, we give you a high-price driver, mid-tier driver, and a low-price driver for your slate. Sometimes you can fit them all in one. Sometimes you can't. And then, of course, as we set things up, we try to make sure that we identify exactly why. And then sometimes we'll tell you to go back to the betting episode to further it as well. So 500 laps, Cody. This is what we're up against.
500 laps. You're gonna need some big lap leaders in this one, no doubt. To set it up, Kyle Larson 5 at the top of the board, Hamlin 11.2, Bell 1100, Byron 10.7. Kind of goes on from there. Again, it's going to be important to see who gets on the pole for this race. They're going to be popular, but there's a good chance that that they're going to have a lot of laps led and fastest laps and whatnot. So make sure you're paying attention to that. I'm going to dip towards the bottom side of the top tier because this is a guy that's very capable of leading a lot of laps. I'm extremely high on him this weekend. I know a lot of people are very high on him, which I hate when it gets chalky like that, but it's his week. Rod hasn't won in 102 races. He's going to snap the streak this weekend. If he wins this race, you're going to need him in DFS. 9,200 for Brad Keselowski. Rod, he is actually the defending spring concrete race winner. Last time they raced in the spring on the concrete was 2020, so it was a hot minute ago. But he started on the pole, led 115 laps, won the race in May of 2020. Again, that's the old car. That's with Penske. I get that things are different. But you come back and you look at what he's done here. We've only got 2 starts in the next-gen car, of course, and he's been with RFK for both of them. In the fall here, last fall, he started in 6th place, finished in 8th. Didn't lead any laps, unfortunately, but had a solid day. But you go back to the 2022 race, led 109 laps, blew a tire while he was leading. So that forced him not to win the race, but he had led 109 laps at that point. Buescher, then his teammate and the other car in the RFK camp, goes on, inherits the lead, goes on to win the race, has a strong, solid day. The RFK car should be good this weekend. Brad should be good this weekend. Going to be a little bit popular, but at 9,200 for where the expensive guys are, this is going to give you some wiggle room if you're playing a guy like Brad Keselowski. So he's a guy that's going to probably be in most of my lineups this weekend just because I'm so sold on Brad having a good week.
Yeah, again, and so what's funny is that if you look at the betting episodes, you've hammered his odds down, by the way. He was pretty good. Now, he wasn't within the top 10 drivers.
Get in early.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You hammered his odds because now he's actually within the realm.
I've seen a lot of talk on him.
Yep. So but hey, listen, we're always early in the week, so you must have started that.
Derek also saying Ross better have a bet on. We did talk about Ross. I think we talked. Did we talk about him in the betting episode? I think so. I know he's in my article over on sportsgamblingpodcast.com. So I found a way to get in on Ross this week. And Derek also, Bad Brad, got 500 on it. So go. It's a little bigger than my unit size, but let's make some money this week.
The size of the unit, it's how you use
how you use the unit. I know. My wife tells me that all the time.
I know. Speaking of units, Chris Bell. That's my pick.
Wow, that was a great lead-in right there.
I don't get paid for this for nothing. Chris Bell, $11,000, high price. I understand. I really do truly understand. But when you talk about grabbing lap leaders on this track, and again, I get it that the couple of races that they've had on asphalt before have been night races, so you can't necessarily 100% compare all of it. But when it comes to getting around Bristol, Chris Bell knows how to do it. And I think, he could do it at the night. He could do it in the day. He could do it in the dirt. He can do it on a mouse. He could do it in a house. He could do it with a fox. Chris Bell can just get it done on Bristol, right? You look back at what he did in the 2023 night race. He led 187 laps. He led the most laps in that race. Started first, wound up third. There was 3 drivers in that race, by the way, that led more than 100 laps. Christopher Bell, 187. Denny Hamlin, 142. Ty Gibbs, 102. We'll talk about that in a second, I'm sure. But again, 187 in that one. You look back at what he did in the 2022 Bass Pro Shops night race. He led 143 laps, started eighth rather, and finished fourth. So a hell of a DFS day for him. By the way, 3 drivers led laps in that one too. Busher 169, just like Cody was saying earlier. Christopher Bell 143, Brad Keselowski 109. What did he do in the 2021 race? Okay, well, he didn't do nearly as much in the 2021 race. But I'm telling you right now, the last couple of seasons that Christopher Bell has been running this race, he has led laps, and a lot of laps, to the tune of almost the most, if not the second most laps in the entire race. But that 2021 race, he did start 6th and finish 29, ran into some problems on the track. But yeah, again, he started 6th, which means he had speed, which means if he would have been able to keep going on that race, he'd have been able to stay up in that race. But I know 11,000 is rough, but if he has another week like he did last week in Phoenix, where he got you 94 points, well, you're going to love that. Hell, if he even gets you 80 points, you're going to love that. So I think that's a pretty good cap for his ceiling. I mean, if he gets you 50 points, you're still kind of happy with that, like he did at Daytona. So yeah, Christopher Bell, I think, is going to be good on this track this weekend. And I think you got to have him. I know he's pricey, but you can save money elsewhere and have Christopher Bell in your lineup.
Yeah, you can't worry about price in this race. I mean, if you've got to punt with some cheap guys because you've got to nail the guys who are going to lead laps. And if you think Christopher Bell is going to be one of those guys, you've got to play him. This isn't the truck race we talked about yesterday, or neither of us are going to play Kyle Busch in that. He's $15,000. He's $5,000 more than the next highest guy. That's a big difference there. But yeah, I think you can't worry about pricing here. If it's Christopher Bell, if it's Kyle Larson, if it's Denny Hamlin, if these are the guys you're convicted on that are going to do well. We just saw it with Bell last week. He had the fastest car in the field easily. We saw it last time we were here where he led a ton of laps. So if he's a guy you think you need to play, you got to squeeze him in there at that price.
Indeed. And forgive me, guys. The nature out here has given me the birthday present of active allergies today. So if I'm sniffling, if you see me rubbing my nose, I know on the normal podcast, you guys don't, give a rat's out. But for those of you watching on YouTube, I know it's unsightly to have somebody going the whole time. So just hang with me on that one, right?
At least you're beautiful otherwise, Rod.
Oh, thank you. 48 looks good on me. All right. We'll come back with some mid-tier drivers to save you a little bit of money after paying up for Christopher Bell. But first, let's tell you about Champs. Champs is hosting a free March Madness bracket contest for a chance to win $1,000. Plus, if you host your own March Madness pool on Champs, you're going to get an extra free entry into that bracket contest. Tiebreakers are determined by who enters first, so make sure you get in now so you don't miss out. Head to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/champs. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/champs.
Oh, that was brutal. Free March Madness contest, win $1,000. Absolutely disgusting.
I'll give you the 20 seconds back after you're done with this episode.
So, Steven in the chat, of course, his daughter is picking she's been doing pretty good too. So you might want to go ahead and play Bubba Wallace this week because she's on the, Lidos paint scheme. That's always a pretty car that Bubba drives. So 7,700, he might be a guy to consider for sure. But I am going to stick in the Toyota camp. I'm going to stick with Christopher Bell's teammate. You just mentioned him a minute ago. My guy, Ty Gibbs. Look, he's $8,000. His price is creeping up, Rod, right? We talked about it last season. Like, enjoy these big discounts while you get them. This is still a pretty big discount. Look, his teammate is the fastest car last week, wins the race. He's $11,000. Well, Ty Gibbs didn't do so bad last week either. He led 57 laps. He had 18 fastest laps. Starts in second place, finishes in third place. 62.4 points for you at Phoenix last week. That's a solid day, especially for someone only priced at $8,000 on DraftKings. It's a great price for Ty Gibbs. What has he done at Bristol in the past? Well, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, he led 102 laps last time we were here. So he's already proven he can pace the field at this track. He's won here in the Xfinity Series before. He started in 8th place that week, finished in 5th place. A nice, strong, solid run for him. He was in the top 10 in both stages. Second place in stage 2. Obviously, you got the 102 laps led as well. I don't think we talked about this as much maybe on the betting show as we should have, but Chevrolet's been in a little bit of a drought here on the concrete track. And so this is not a week, even though Kyle Larson is one of the 3 favorites, right? But with 2 Toyotas, notably. But this isn't necessarily a race where we just kind of expect, Byron and Larson to come out and absolutely dominate everything and have the fastest cars. Like, there's going to be plenty of that this season, but it can happen here this week for sure, but not necessarily the case. So far, we've gone with a Ford and 2 Toyotas, and I think that might kind of be the theme of this weekend a little bit, and Chevy might be just dragging behind a little bit. We know those guys are still going to be good, of course, but Ty Gibbs, I think at $8,000. Sometimes I try to pick different guys than we're betting on, but like this pricing for these guys, Brad Keselowski at 92, Ty at 8,000, like really good pricing for guys with very high ceilings that have led over 100 laps in the past here before and in recent races in these next gen cars and the current cars that they're in. So definitely guys you got to look at. So Ty Gibbs, $8,000.
Well, sometimes the DFS and the betting kind of mirror each other anyways, in that the pricing kind of matches what we're getting in the betting. So you kind of have to go with the same people over and over again, because I mean, listen, if you don't like winning money, then you can take stabs at anybody you want. But apparently, when the numbers lean you in a certain direction, then you got to take it. And listen, to your point about Chevy, I mean, there have been at least 3 Chevys in the top 10 over the last couple of races here in the fall. But I mean, in the spring, it hasn't been so much. So you're right. It's definitely a tough chore for these Chevys to get there. So I'm with you on that one. All right. My mid-tier driver, I'm actually going to go into the $6,800 range. I'm going to go with Michael McDowell. I talked about him a little bit in the betting episode for a top 10. I really think that that's a good spot for him to finish. So if I think he's going to get a top 10 at $6,800, that's a really good price for a guy like that. The last 2 times in the fall that he's been on this track, he had an 11th place finish and a 6th place finish. Now, granted, only one of those has been a top 10, but here's the thing. It doesn't matter if it's a top 10 in DFS. An 11th place finish is still a pretty solid finish for a guy points wise, especially when he starts 18th and finishes 11th. There's some good place differential there. Who knows if he turns a couple of fast laps in the middle? That's 500 laps. There's enough time for him to turn a fast lap or 2 or maybe 4 and get you some points that way. And then the year before, in 2023, he started 4th, finished 6th, lost you some differential points, but still had a nice solid 6th place day for a guy who probably was about the same price that he was right now. I can only imagine that Michael McDowell was more than $6,800 that day. And so even this season so far, not bad for him. He's had 2 races of at least 37 points. He had 37 points last week on a $6,700 salary. And then in Atlanta, he had a 38-point day on a $7,700 salary. So some pretty decent return for you on this one as well. 2 8th place finishes on the season. I know one of them was Atlanta. It kind of doesn't count at the same time. But last week, I think that 8th place kind of holds up a little bit. And look, Michael McDowell's had some speed this season. He's been a little bit ignored because he's Michael McDowell, and you don't expect that 34 up there in the top 10, but when he's there, you got to watch out for it. So I think he's got another good finish in him, and I think he's a good return for $6,800.
Man, such a cheap price for a guy that, again, it's a small sample size for coming into this season so far, but the Penske Alliance has seemingly done something. They've been qualifying well. We know he's a driver. There's something to be said, and my last guy was a young guy, and my next guy's a young guy, but there is something to be said about the veteran guys who have raced on this track a billion times. It's 500 laps. That's very repetitive, and there's no breaks here. There's breaks, but there's no breaks, right? You're going to be using the brakes, but not taking the brakes is what I'm trying to say. But, I mean, it's just constantly in a circle, just like this time, 500 consistent laps. You got to hit your marks. You can't make mistakes. He's the type of guy that won't. 6,800 just seems like a little bit too low of a price for a guy like Michael McDowell. So I like the call out there.
Yeah. Again, he's not going to go blow the doors off, and he probably won't get you a top 5, but a nice solid top 10 run, I think, will be a fantastic return.
He could. I think he's capable of a finish like that, to be honest with you. So we kind of expect Fords to be fairly decent at a track like this. So it's not out of the question for sure. Next up for me, Rod.
Hang on.
We got to do that guy's favorite part of the show now.
Yes, we do. We got to go away and can tell you about Hall of Fame bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NBA season with Hall of Fame bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NBA and soccer bet with historical stats and data. You can enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame bets revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rate broken down by leg as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame bets.
Wow, a site that can help you bet better on a betting show. What just the atrocities here? It's crazy.
Cody, in my advanced age, again, since the calendar's turning on me again, I'm beginning to reach the enlightened stage in which I almost just don't care. Like, you're gonna listen, and if you don't, then
Well, people who don't understand advertising at this point in time, like, how do you do anything? Like, if you use your phone for anything, you're gonna see ads. If you drive down the road, there's billboards and signs all over the place. Like, it's kind of how things work. So it's
just
it
click
is
the
always a
pop-ups
meme,
off
but-
and shut up, move on.
And yeah, his philosophy. I mean, hey, if you don't want to listen, like, I would like for you to listen, right? And we love our listeners, and the numbers are great, and we appreciate it. But if you don't want to listen, like, I don't really care.
Get off my lawn.
Exactly. Rod's old enough to say that now. So, all right, Rod, let's save some money.
Let's save some.
And go down towards the bottom here. Carson Hocevar, look, 5,800 is just, it's so cheap for this guy. Like, you go and you look at the bottom, right? And you got Kaz Gralla at 5,000. You got Haley at 52, Burton at 53, Voldemort at 54. Then you started to get in guys that are pique your interest, right? Zane Smith, Gillen, Hocevar right here at 5,800, only $800 more than Gralla. Again, you need to pay up at the top to get the guys that you need to get. But if you can save $800 somewhere and play Hocevar over playing someone like Kaz Gralla, just so much more up. Gralla doesn't have very much upside. I mean, 14 points last week at Phoenix. That's probably about the max you're going to get from a guy like Gralla outside of a super speedway, right? The Carson Hocevar, Rod, Carson Hocevar can bring you solid return on investment. You go back to Phoenix last week. He started in the top 10 even. So ideally, you kind of want him to start a little farther back, but he finished 15th place, but still recorded 4 fastest laps, 24.8 points for you. 24.8 for a guy that's only 5,800. That's not a bad day, but he also offers you a lot of upside. The last time we were at this track in the fall on the concrete, 11th place in that Legacy Motor Club Chevrolet at the time. From what we've seen so far from Spire, I don't know that Legacy is that much better of a car than, especially last season. Maybe Legacy's taking a little bit of a step up now at Toyota, but have they really even at that point, to that point? But Hocevar has shown up. Hocevar has shown, like, everyone in a way was sort of like, Josh Berry's probably going to win Rookie of the Year. He's in a Stewart Haas car. If it's not him, Zane Smith has the Trackhouse partnership, and Hocevar was kind of dismissed as the third guy. Not that we thought he was going to be bad, but like, he's shown up and he's been very impressive. So 11th place on this track last season in his first Cup Series start here. He was kind of filling in part-time in that car, wasn't even the full-time guy or anything like that. Still focused full-time on the Truck Series at that point. But he's been solid the last couple of weeks, right? So you go back to last week, like I said, 24.8 at Vegas the week before. Again, starts 14th. He's been qualifying well. Starts 14th, finishes 15th yet again. 30.6 points for you. For a guy that's only 5,800, don't be scared off if he's starting top 10. Don't be scared off if he's starting top 15. He's still putting solid days up, getting you a lot of points, and he's got that upside of an 11th place finish that a guy like Kaz Gralla for Kaz Gralla to finish 11th place, Rod, a lot of pianos are falling out of the sky and a lot of things are happening in this race. It's just, it's going to be so hard for a guy like that to get there. Hocevar's got that upside, and he's been solid. So I love Hocevar as a play at 5,800 this week.
Yeah, you took mine. I was going to definitely go with Hocevar. Because again, that price, that upside, that potential, it definitely makes total sense.
Neither of us beat each other to the dock this week, but we're literally filling it out as we go because it's been a busy day for both of us. But I beat Rod to the Hocevar punch at least.
You know what the great thing about Friday is, though, is we've done all of our research at that point, so that the DFS plays we already know what we're going to pick because we've done all our research.
I can tell you a lot of stats on most of the drivers at this point because I've been digging into it all week.
Exactly. Nick Fortune checking in saying, Rod, you sound kind of cranky. That's what comes with age, Nick. I'm telling you, I'm holding the place for you right now. JDK saying radio pretty sure has ads. I know, I worked commercial radio. Nick also wants to know, do I call you Gramps, Rod? You can. I give you permission to do that because, again, it comes with age. Stephen Williams, you can please all the people none of the time. That is true. JDK one more time saying instead of hot rod Villagomez, it's going to be changed to Rod Heat Pad Villagomez as he gets older. What do you mean as I get older? I am older today. So
hey, I will say though, 48. That's that number's got some significance, right? Jimmy Johnson. So
this
it's
is
a good
Jimmy
number.
Johnson year.
Jimmy Johnson year for Rod. So
I love
better
it.
start following his plays because they're going to hit. Except that Majeski one. That one sucks. But.
Yeah, well. All right. Well, let's follow this one. I'm going to punt, but I'm going to punt with a little bit of upside. You talked about all the guys at the bottom. I want no part of any of those guys, right? Zane Smith is intriguing to me, but then you just look at his finishes and they just haven't been there, right? Even last week at 17th, right? Last week at Phoenix, you think, okay, this is a good opportunity for this Stewart Haas car to get.
I'm gonna keep falling for this trap every week. I continue to play Zane Smith because I don't want to not play him when he pops off because he's going to, but he hasn't yet.
No, he has not yet. In fact, 17 points last week, not a good day. So I'm going to take AJ Allmendinger. What the hell? He's making his first start since the Daytona 500 in the Cup Series. As you know, full-time in the Xfinity Series right now, not really running a full schedule for Cup, but this is one of the races that he's on. Has he done spectacularly on this track in his career? No, but really, I don't want him to lose you points. And he has got the potential to lose you some points like he did last year in the fall race. Started 22nd, finished 30th, so lost you some differential points there. But he has the potential to come out and do what he did in 2022, where he started 13th and finished 7th. He has done the spring race here before. In 2018, he started 18th, finished 17th. Once again, didn't lose your points. And then in the in the spring of the previous year, he lost you a couple points. It's just an up and down battle with AJ Allmendinger. And at the bottom of this, you just kind of want to take guys that can get you somewhere in the top 20, which he can get you inside the top 20. Maybe not running a full-time Cup schedule will give him and the team permission to sort of take chances and stay out if there's a caution and, try to maybe lead laps or do things that he wouldn't have done last year or even the year before when he was full-time. So at $6,100, it really doesn't take a whole lot to return on your investment. In fact, if you look at what he did at Daytona, it started 28th, finished 6th. I know, super speedway, but he got you 68 points on a $6,200 salary. I'd be happy if he got me 38 points on a $6,200 salary, right? I mean, I know you want your punt plays to get you more than that, but sometimes punt plays are just good enough to get you 2 times or maybe if you're lucky 3 times what you paid for them. So AJ Allmendinger is that guy, but at the same time, he's got the potential to get you 50 or 60 points if he finds his way into the top 10, which the 16 car is good enough to do it. I swear to you, Colleague is good enough to do it. They just got to figure it out. They got to have faith in themselves. This is my pep talk to Colleague.
They have to put a driver in that's capable of doing it, which they have this week. And I think that's the most important part of that. Look, Allmendinger, a guy I talked about over on the Cup Series show, Rod, on the betting episode, rather. I talked about how he's got top 10 upside. I placed a bet on him for the top 10. So he's definitely a guy that can do it. He's got that upside, and I think he's a solid play. Honestly, before I clicked on Hocevar, I definitely gave a little lick to, or a little, not a lick, just a look, not a lick, to AJ Allmendinger. Oops.
Should we move on to Underdog?
It's Friday, isn't it?
It's totally Friday. It's my birthday. We're partying hard over here. But yeah. So all right, let's go over the plays one more time for your DFS lineups. Cody started you out with Brad Keselowski. Bread Keselowski at 9,200 is his high price driver. I gave you Christopher Bell. Ring that bell at $11,000 for my high price driver. Cody dipped down to Ty Gibbs at 8,000, and I gave you Mickey D at 6,800 rather. Cody gave you Carson Hocevar at 5,800, and I gave you AJ Allmendinger at 6,100. Cody, can you fit everybody in there?
You can, and you've got like $3,000 left over. So you got actually 3,100. So you got some room to play with, even if you were to play all those guys. Again, like we say every week, we don't have all the information at this point in time that we're recording. We've not seen practice. We've not seen qualifying. We don't have starting positions or anything. But solid guys to work with.
Beautiful stuff. All right, now it's time. It's that fun portion of the show where we'll load you up with some Underdog fantasy plays for this slate for our Food City 500 at Bristol. So, Cody, it's better than, it's worse than the finishing position that they're projected to be. It's quite simple, folks. You pick 3 or 5 and you load them up.
Bingo. Also, shout out to CPT Explosion over in Discord. Pointed out to us yesterday. I think this is a new addition from Underdog. But so they've got the higher lower tab on the app. They also have the Rivals tab. You can go over there, click on Racing, and it's basically head-to-head matchups. And you've got this guy versus this guy. You take a side, and you can build this into your plays as well. So like We've got Bell versus Hamlin, Hamlin versus Larson, Byron versus Blaney. There's some Truck Series matchups on there as well. So another great thing that Underdog's offering. Again, if you're not signed up, what are you waiting for? Get over there, promo code RACE SGPN, and get into it. Rod, I have not even picked my first driver yet, so I am scrolling here and I am looking. You know where I'm going. Brad Keselowski, 9.5. Look, either I'm going to make a lot of money this weekend on Brad Keselowski or I'm going to be disappointed. That's how it's going. Give me Keselowski, 9.5, better than. I've already made the case for him in the betting episode, made the case for him earlier. I'm just going to leave it at that. It's the winless streak is not getting to 103, Rob.
Yeah, I don't know. I still don't. I can't buy it into. I know the hype is there, but I can't buy into it right now. It's just Brad. I'll go with you because for the sake of the show, you don't want confusion, and I know people hate it when you leave it on a cliffhanger. But I'll back you on that. But I still don't buy it. No, Lynn says happy cake day. Thank you very much, Lynn, and that he's 44 this year, so. On the geezer side too. Yeah, we know that. All right. My first one, I'm going to go with Chase Elliott. I understand, and I fully know that this season has been garbage for Chase Elliott so far, well, maybe that entire Hendrick squad so far, but his finishing position should not be 11.5. I mean, granted, 14, he hasn't finished higher than 12th this season so far. I get that. But on Bristol, as it is, he's actually been much better than that. I know, like I said, in the fall, but he's had a 7th place finish, a 2nd place finish, a 25th place finish, a 7th place, 22nd, 5th, 11th, 3rd. So in all but 2 of his races since 2018 in the fall, he's been better than 11.5. So you got to think that Chase Elliott gets this figured out. This is a ticking time bomb for Hendrick. Right? That team is not used to being this poor or performing this poorly week after week after week. Someone's getting yelled at this week. Something's going to happen this week. And this is a perfect track to get it done because raw speed is out the window, right? It's technique driving. It's being able to hit your pit stops. It's being able to do the right things and be at the right place at the right time. Can Chase Elliott do that, Cody?
He absolutely can.
Then I think he's going to. And I think a 10th place finish for him this week, I think he's going to finish inside the top 10. So give me Chase Elliott better than 11.5 finishing position.
Yeah, we're only a couple years removed from him dominating the All-Star race the one year that it was here. He dominated that race before him and Kevin Harvick got into their epic battle here. He's been good at this track before. Concrete specifically, Chase Elliott is probably the top driver that comes to mind when I think of a concrete track. He's proved to be good at those in the past. Rod, I'm going to go over to Joey Logano. He is off to a bad start to the season. Again, he is the hardest driver to predict in the field, so I'm hoping I don't eat all my words this week, but I'm fading him in a head-to-head matchup over on the betting episode earlier this week. His finishing position, 11.5 on Underdog. Rod, I'm going to take the worst then. His 2 next-gen starts here, 34th and 27th. Not good finishes in either of them. Now, he did get into trouble, right? An accident and a suspension problem, but part of the thought on that is he going to continue to get into trouble because 3 of the 4 races so far this season, he's gotten in wrecks, and 2 of those super speedways, again, hard to look at, but it's been a rough start to the season for Joey Logano. You don't want to wade too much into the super speedways, but 3 or 4 races not finishing, having rough days, sitting 30th in the points, none of that is good. You go back and you look at what he did before on Bristol concrete here, 11th and 21, 11th and 22, so barely would have squeaked in here, then a 7th, but then 21st, 16th, not a bunch of great finishes here for Joey Logano. And back in the day, he had quite a few races where he led a lot of laps, but lately he's not led laps. He's not really run up front in these, even over the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 of the last 7 races, he's not even finished in the top 10 in either stage on the concrete here. So not been great for Joey Logano. I'm going to continue to fade him until we see something differently. So give me worse than 11.5 on Joey Logano.
It cracks me up because I was going to do that, and then I thought I heard Cody in my head say he's the hardest driver to predict, Rod, and then you go and do it. So
he is, and that's what scares. That's the only thing that scares me about fading him is he can pop up at any point, but I really don't think that it's this week that he's going to pop up. But all signs kind of point to that's probably not going to be the case. So I'm going to continue to fade him.
All right, so I'm going to look at the last few finishes for one Martin Truex Jr., and I'm going to say that that everybody's going to say, Rod, you're going to be wrong on this one, and I'm going to say, okay, but I don't think I'm going to be. So Martin Truex Jr. over the last couple of races, right? 7th in Vegas and Phoenix, great finishes for him, 12th, 15th, but his finishing position here is set at 12.5. I'm going to say worse than, and you know me, I'm always
Ooh.
sunshine and lollipops, but
I would have taken the other side of this, just for the record.
look back at what he's done here in the fall, right? 19th, 36th. He did have a 7th in 2021, 24th, 20th. That was 20th in the spring of 2020, actually. And then you go back to another spring race, 17th, another spring race, 30th, another spring race. He did get 8th in 2017, but he got 14th in the spring race of 2016. Martin Truex Jr. has not been good in the spring on concrete on this track at all. So, I mean, yeah, his last few finishes this season have been fantastic. And Martin Truex Jr. is fully capable of being a top 10 driver each and every week. But something about this track, right? Crashed out or has had problems in 3 races in that span as well. So, I mean, look, I get it. And I fully know that I love me some Martin Truex Jr., but I don't think he likes this track very much, honestly. I think this track for him is one of those, let's just get through this. Hopefully we can make it through with the top 10. And if we don't, hopefully we could just come back with all the bumpers, right? Come back with your bumper or on it for Martin Truex Jr. this week. And I think he's going to come back on it. So 12.5 is his finishing position. I think he's going to be at least a 15th place car. That's probably his ceiling, 15th place on this track, because we haven't seen it lately at all. And in the dirt configuration is a different story, right? Last 3 seasons have been dirt. That's all fine and well, but forget it. That doesn't mean anything going into this. So yeah, Martin Truex Jr., worse than 12.5 in his finishing position.
All right. Well, you talked me into it because I was actually thinking about taking him better than. So I think you did talk me out of the better than. So good job. But, Rod, I'm going to go back over to my guy, Tyler Reddick, better than 8.5. Look, the last 2 races here really haven't been that great for him. 25th in 2022. Now, he was in the RCR car that year. 15th last season in his first season with 23-11 here. But the last 2 races into the season here, he has been impressive. Led a ton of laps at Vegas. Ends up, running Larson down at the end. Gets so close. Finishes second place. Last week at Phoenix, he was very fast. He led 68 laps. Now ends up with a 10th place finish because of how things cycled out after the untimely caution from Denny Hamlin. We get it. 4 for 4, finishing in the top 2 in the 4 stages at the 2 quote-unquote normal tracks we've had the last 2 weeks. Good combination of, this is one of those things where I'm kind of looking at, what have you done for me lately? He was good on the intermediate track, using the intermediate package this week. He was good on the short track. We're on a short track this week. You're kind of blending the 2 together. He's in good form right now so far. He's looked strong both races. And so I'm going to just continue to ride that Reddick train. Again, he's being a little disrespected numbers-wise again this week. So back on him for the outright. Also going to take his better than 8.5 just because so far into the season, again, 2 for 2 on non-super speedways. He's been one of the fastest cars. He's been up front all day. I think we're going to see that again from Reddick this week. And, Bristol has a tendency in some ways to lend towards dirt track guys, right? We've seen Larson. Yes, I said earlier they haven't been the best here, but we've seen Larson be solid. He's had great finishes here. We've seen Christopher Bell do well here. Chase Briscoe's not done so bad. Tyler Reddick, another dirt guy as well. You have the groove constantly changing on this type of track. He's the type of guy that's going to move around and search for it, find it, and ride it. So I'm going to ride the hot train that is lately Tyler Reddick and take his better than 8.5.
I love it. Well, then I'm going to move over to Ryan Blaney, who, again, has had some fantastic finishes over the last few races. And another guy, which you'd say, Rod, if you took his number worse, then you're probably silly because it's probably set pretty good. And it is. It's actually set at 7.5. But I'm going to take the worst then in this case. I know. Blaney's finished 5th, 3rd, and 2nd over the last 3 races. A fantastic resume to what he's done so far. But Ryan Blaney is a different story when it comes to especially the Bristol track here. The last few finishes for him, 22nd in the fall, 30th in the fall. He did have a 4th place finish. Yeah, I get that's better than 7th, but 13th, 40th, 10th since 2019. You want to talk about short tracks in general. If it's not Martinsville, Blaney's not running well on it, okay? Martinsville, he won, obviously, in the fall. Bristol, 22nd. Richmond, 14th. Martinsville, another 7th place finish. Solid, right? But Richmond, set 26th, Martinsville 3rd, Bristol 30th, Richmond 10th, Martinsville 4th. So you're sensing a pattern here, right? Martinsville, go Blaney. Any short track outside of Martinsville, no Blaney. So 7.5 is a pretty high number for a guy that I know, and I know they're just trying to capitalize on the fact that he's gotten 3 top 5 finishes, 3 solid finishes over the last 3 races, but I'm not buying it. Not on Bristol, not for Ryan Blaney. I love Blaney. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to have a beer with him someday, but I'm just not going to take him for a Bristol race at 7.5.
Yeah, hard to argue too much. I mean, I just made the opposite argument on Reddick with how he's run lately, but Blaney's not been very good here. I mean, the last 2 races, the 22nd, the 30th, did have the 4th back in September 21, but different package. A lot of things were, or not different package, but different car back then. Things were definitely different. So, it just doesn't feel like a Ryan Blaney type of week this week, and something we could be wrong on, but the numbers don't really show that he's probably going to be too good here. And I think the Ford camp is going to be more of the RFK guys, maybe an SHR guy or two, and not so much the Penske guys that haven't done super great here lately.
Yeah, front row is going to get a top 10 before Ryan Blaney does in this one.
Cut. Is that Rob's cut bet?
That is my cut bet. Which team finishes higher, Penske or front row?
Oof. Well,
Because
Austin Cinder gets a top 5. Just kill it.
just to screw it all up. I love it. All right, well, let's go over our underdog picks for you. That way you can go on and start filling out your picks sheet as well. Cody started you out with Bread better than 9.5. I said Elliott would be better than 11.5. Cody said Logano will be worse than 11.5. I said Truex would be worse than 12.5. Cody said Tyler Reddick would be better than 8.5, and I said that Ryan Blaney would be worse than 7.5. Cody, we blazed through this one. This was a good one. I like it. Concise,
nice and quick on a Friday afternoon. Get it out there to the folks, and let's go have a good weekend. Let's go make some money. Happy birthday again to you, Rod.
Thank you.
Best of luck in your fantasy this week. Again, we got that $5 contest. We've been getting a lot of people entering that. I post in the Discord every week. We have one for all 3 series, but you can play whatever ones you want to. You can pick and choose. But always over there posted and available. So if you want to jump in, hang out with everybody else in the Discord and sweat out a fantasy lineup. It's a lot of fun. We've been having some decent, it's a winner take all. So decent prizes at the top with getting more entries in there.
Yeah, more people that enter, the better off the contest is. So
Bingo.
Enter. Well, I don't say enter often because you can only answer once, but get in there. Have some fun with us.
Exactly.
All right, Cody. Out the door as we head there. Why don't you let everybody know where they can find you outside of this space?
Yep. Follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. Find all my work over there. And best of luck this weekend. Let's go make some money.
Let's go make some money indeed. I'm on X at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review. Got an article coming out for this race, betting article there as well. And then, of course, check out the back road. Seth and Elliott have you set for Bristol. And I'll be back hopefully next weekend or next week to talk with you some more. Deep breath, Rod. Deep breaths. We'll see you guys next week with the recap. And until then, everybody, have a great weekend. Let's win some money. Let's go racing and let it ride.